Welcome to the Clarity Confidence Connection Summit, where women break through barriers, unlock their next level of success, and build bonds with other badass business owners. Your host for this session is Candace McKim. Candace is an international intuitive teacher, intuitive business coach, #1 international best-selling author of Yogini's Guide, Intuition is a Choice, and Yogini's Guide to Intuition Oracle Cards. Candace is a TEDx speaker and is the podcast, radio, TV host of the Find Your Hell Yes show. Candace is recognized as a leading expert on intuition, as well as on women and worth, wealth and wellness, and has shared stages with speakers such as Jack Canfield, Deborah Silverman, and Matt Kahn. Candace is one of the co-creators of the Clarity Confidence Connection Summit and has another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Candace.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Candace McKim, and I am here with Kathy James. I am really excited for you to be here. And Kathy's talk title is The 3 Secrets to Success Despite All Odds. So welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Candace. And I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. Alrighty, so tell us a bit about your journey. Like I know you've touched on it a little bit here, but tell us a little bit more about your journey and how you became the expert on speaking on success.
So my passion here is driven by my past, like many are, and the moments that I felt the least resilient and saw little to no success at all. Growing up, both of my parents were addicted to drugs, and my home was full of violence. Even though I was raised by my grandparents, there was a lot of violence and a lot of alcoholism in the house. And I hid that my body was invaded when I was 6 years old. Fast forward, and I was full of rage. I became a bully, and I started following a similar path and continued those generational cycles, becoming a teen mother at 16. And I hid that my mother had taken up to prostitution by the age of 13. And I had me at the same age that I had my son. And I became a borderline alcoholic by 19. I was ill-educated, dropping out of high school at 10th grade, and consistently jobless because of the lifestyle that I was living. And I was relying on government assistance. And that went on for years. And I was living in a soup of negativity. How could I begin to dream if I couldn't even see past my own circumstances? So all of that is what drives me to where I am today, because thankfully, with some help of some positive influences, I started to see that there was a different path that was possible. And I decided to change my path. And I was successful in not only breaking those generational cycles, but also gained a deep passion for fighting for my own personal goals. And when I looked back and I investigated all of those moments where the tough times and the good times, and I found different trends that I had experienced that led me to the moments where I felt the most resilient and the most successful. And that's what I'm going to be sharing about today. And so in these particular moments and these basics helped me to get through those moments of healing, my healing journey, my career journey, as well as my journey today as an entrepreneur and aspiring author.
Yeah. So what do you think it is within you that really, that part that's within you that goes, you know what, I know I can break these patterns. I know that there's something different out there for me and for my child. And what do you think that is within you that is there to make some changes?
Well, I call it my fighter spirit, because I mentioned slightly that I was a bully at some point. I literally was bullied and then became the bully and physically would fight. And I just pushed the entire world away. So today I refer to this as my, it's my girl fight, I took that negative energy and I purposefully transformed it into something positive. And I think that we all have that ability inside of us. I think that we can all take a win, learn mentality and drive our own success. We have that ability within all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's so interesting to me how some people do and some people don't. And so I'm just wondering, do you believe that because it's your fight part and it's like, there's that inner knowing that goes, I don't like that I don't want to use my fight for that. I want to use my fight for like good, if you will.
Sure.
think-
This is going to bring me to my point number one, by the way.
Okay, perfect.
And some people, it's going to be tough to hear because it was tough to hear for me.
Okay.
We have to identify who our opponent is, right? That sounds like a no-brainer. Okay, what are we up against? But it goes deeper than that. So who is your opponent? Really? It's not your boss. It's not your mother-in-law, although she's a leading contender. Right? Right? And
I
it's
love
not
my
your
mother-in-law.
past. It's not your past. It's you. And I'm telling you, that hurt. That hurt to realize that I was the person standing in my way of changing my circumstances. How dare you? I'm on government assisted. How is that? How can I help that? I can't help that. We do have the power though. We have the resources. So for me, in my particular circumstance, I had to recognize that I was the one sucker punching myself every time I didn't seek out the help that I needed to heal. Or because I was remaining stagnant. I never recognized that my complacency was the worst that was keeping me in my position. And that's in anything that if I look back on any situation, whether it's from my childhood or when I recognized that I couldn't read a Curious George book to my 4-year-old son, confidently, or when I decided that I wanted to shift my career, in every single moment, we go through this hem and haw, if you will, of do I do it? Do I don't do it? Do I have enough resources? Do I have the skill sets? We compare ourselves to the next woman, but at the end of the day, we're the ones holding ourselves back, not the woman on the other side of the screen, not our boss, or our husband who keeps eating in front of us because we're trying to lose weight. It's us. It's our decision. We're standing in our own way. And once we realize that and we take accountability, because that's the biggest part of identify your opponent is taking accountability, is it's going to be life-changing. That you have to have that aha moment, right? That's our aha moment. We have to stop making excuses and just plow ahead, put our boxing gloves on and just punch our way through it. And I know it sounds comical, but it's true. We have that ability inside of us, and remaining stagnant or avoiding, complacency, avoidance, or overworking, they all can hinder our resiliency and our ability to be successful, because you need to persevere in order to meet that goal, whether it's 3 weeks, 6 months, a year, or 3 years. It took me 3 years to finally, from the date that I contacted the bank to say I wanted to be a first-time homeowner as a single mama, to make that goal a reality. And now I have my second home as a single mama, so it takes perseverance and resiliency to get there. And we have to develop that resiliency, but we can't build that without recognition of what our particular part in that journey.
Yeah. And it's hard for a lot of people to hear, is taking responsibility, but right. Because we all have that, it's one of our archetypes, right? Is victim. We all have that archetype as a victim. And so it takes a lot to hear that and to break through that of taking responsibility, right? Like my background is I have a degree in social work, right? So I was on the other end of that, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, like it is hard to get that through to people. Like, let's take responsibility for your own life when their lives are in shambles and they, they need, the money to look after the child. But then, if they get a job, it messes that up, like all of the system, like dealing
Right.
with all of that. So,
Right.
all right. So your first secret is identify who your opponent is. I
Yes.
love that. Like, I just think that's I love how you've worded it, because it's like, oh yeah, like who am I fighting? Like, when you're in that fight
Yeah.
mode, it's like, yeah, who am I fighting against? So what's your second key?
Before I move on to the second key, let me say
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
I am not by any means encouraging you or encouraging anyone to, that anyone from your past is not without fault, or for you to take action or
Mhm.
accountability for someone else's actions, because I don't.
Right.
And I'm also not encouraging self-loathing. There's a difference. Owning it and taking responsibility and pulling up your big girl pants on, not wallowing. We are here to love each other, to build each other up, and that's not what I'm encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Secret number 2.
Okay.
Right. When I look back on all of the times that I felt the most resilient, and that I saw the most growth and the most significance, the most significant success, I look back and I don't just see Kathy. I don't just see Kathy's, what Kathy did to get here. I look back and I see an entourage. We're talking about fighting, right? Champions have an entourage. And who are those people? They're the cornermen, my mentors, my coaches. In between the battles on the canvas, and I'm getting punched in the face or in the gut, either by myself or by life, my mentors, my coaches, my corner men and women were there to help re-strengthen me for the next round. They helped provide me with the right resources. They were the right people to come to my aid when I was hurting and could not fight, and to encourage me and cheer me on when I was in the thicket of it, right? But then if you think about, I also have my sparring partners. If you think about a sparring partner, you're in there, you're giving each other jabs, right? These people are the people that are going to give it to you like it is. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. They're going to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear, because they care about you, not to hurt you, not to belittle you, not to wound you, but because they care and they are driving you towards success. Without your sparring partners, you're not going to build that resiliency for your fight, for when those tough times come, because you're preparing for the fight, right? So in between those tough times, you need to be working with your cornermen and your sparring partners and, your full entourage. And it might be, a coach, it might be a mentor, it might be a bestie, whoever it is. You need those people in your lives. We talk about having our circles. Our circles are vital, but we need to make it more purposeful than that and actually seek out those people that are going to lift us up to next levels. Those movers, those shakers, those people that are going to push us to be our very best.
Yeah. So it's like, who's in your corner, right?
Right. Really,
Yeah.
literally, who's in your corner?
Yeah. Using your metaphor, right, of fighting.
Yeah,
And I love that.
I appreciate that.
And I love that, because that's what we're all about, right? We're here about clarity, confidence, and connection, right? So it's like, yeah, like the connection part was just a huge part of Samantha and Ranchelle and I coming together to create these summits and the movement of the clarity, confidence, connection movement. So I just believe in this so strongly, and
Absolutely.
even encouraging the listeners to, like, who can you connect to? Like, who do you have, like you said, those real meaningful relationships, not the light, airy, small talk, see them at school, wave, and that kind of thing, right? That's not what you're talking about. You're talking about the ones who will have the honest conversations with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Tell it like it is.
Yes.
Okay. Love it. All right. Are you ready to go on to number 3, or do you want to have any more
Yeah, we
about
can talk
that?
about number 3. Training and conditioning is number 3. Again, they sound super simple, but we forget them. We go through life and we get in this rut and we're going and moving and moving and moving. We're like, we got to do this, we got to do that. Oh, shiny object here, shiny object there. But we forget the very basics. And the very basics is training and conditioning. Training and conditioning our minds, our bodies. And I want to use a training technique that champions use. Many championship sports will use this technique, film study. So the coach and the fighter or the champion to be will go and sit down and they'll review films of their opponent. They're looking for their jabs, they're looking at their footwork, they're looking at what their weaknesses are. But not only do they study their opponents, but they also study themselves. Well, what are they studying for? What are they looking for? They're looking for weaknesses and strengths within themselves. We also have to get to the point where we're becoming students of self. We have to become self-aware of what's going on in our thinking. What are our triggers? What do we value? You know, and become so inundated with our self-awareness and our emotional intelligence and developing in those areas, because we need emotional intelligence and self-awareness for resiliency. And we need resiliency, perseverance in order to be successful, you know? And it sounds very basic, but again, we forget the very basics. We make it way more tough on ourselves than what it needs to be. Honestly, I'm already well prepared for what I am called to do. Without the podcasting, without the summits, without all the elaborate things, those things are great and you can reach a bigger audience in a greater way. But I'm already prepared to sow into and help another human being without all of those things.
I love that. I love what you're saying about studying the opponent, because, you know, we talk a lot about comparison, right? And how it can really shut us down ourselves when we're comparing ourselves. But if we can compare ourselves and look at the opponent, if you will, or the person doing that, you know, what we want to do, and look at it as possibilities, right?
Yes.
And maybe possibilities of collaboration or the way they're doing it. And would that work for me? Or like looking at it in a different way than as oh, they can do it, but I can't, and allowing it to make us feel badly about ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's both ways. You can study, because I also remember in the very beginning, I said that we're our own opponents at times, right? So we have to become students of selves, but you're right. When we feel that when we see something in someone else that triggers that within ourselves, that I really like what she's doing. I love what she's doing. Let it inspire you, because I've been down the bully route and the mean girl route, and it's not fun being the bully or the bullied. So take that same concept and say, you know, that inspires me. That's awesome. That's awesome to see her succeed in that. I wonder how she got there. Maybe I should ask. What harm is it going to do? We're not going to know unless we ask. And that person's going to be honored by us asking and saying, I see you and I appreciate you.
Yeah. And triggers are such a learning for us, right? Like when you get triggered, it's like, oh, what's this coming up here now? Right. Like for me, and even when I like collaborating with Samantha and Ranchelle, all of us, well, oh, that really triggered me. Let's dive into that a little bit. And why is this triggering? Yeah. Okay. So tell everybody about your free gift, a champion's resiliency plan.
Right. So this is a checklist. This is a reference to every single time you create a goal or you just need to get by, just as a reminder. So it's a 6-step resiliency plan. I call it a resiliency plan because if you think about champion fighters, their coach put together a plan for them. and they don't divert from that plan, because they know if they divert from that plan, there's a possibility that they might lose the battle. So I have gotten to the point where I actually refer to this checklist often. Am I checking in with my entourage? Am I checking in with myself, my thinking patterns? And obviously I shared 3 steps today, but the checklist has 6. So there's some extras there with a little bit of a description. It's a PDF, a little bit of a description of each. And if you want to deep dive, I'm happy to do so. But it's a little snippet. It's enough for you to go, okay, I'm doing that, or, oh, I didn't do that, maybe I should. So it's a really good reminder to help us continue to remain resilient so that we can be successful in our goals.
Yeah, so make sure you grab that link right now. If you're watching us live, or if you're listening later, we'll still be able to get the link, because this talk is going to be going out onto 400 plus platforms. So this gift will still be in that link. So make sure you grab it at any time. And if you haven't already, make sure that you upgrade to our VIP. For $97, you get up to $40,000 with amazing gifts from all of the speakers. So make sure you grab that link as well. Okay, so what are some of your last words of wisdom for us? We have a couple minutes, Kathy, but just tell us. So you've shared 3 of your secrets. So let's just go through them again real quickly.
Yeah.
Identify who your opponent is.
Yep.
Number 2 is have an entourage who is in your corner. And we're not talking fluffy relationships. And we're talking on having honest conversations that will drive you to your success. And then training and conditioning. I love that. I love that. So what are some of your last words of wisdom?
I am actually going to add a bonus in there just really quickly.
We have 1 minute.
Become so desperate to win your fight that you'll do anything. For me, it was going to personal therapy. And for another person, it might be finding a personal trainer. Because if I can win my fight with the odds stacked against me, so can you.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Yes, absolutely. This has been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session on the Clarity Confidence Connection Summit, where women break through barriers, unlock their next level of success, and build bonds with other badass business owners. For recordings of all sessions, plus an amazing VIP gift bundle full of courses and resources from our knowledgeable speakers, you can upgrade to a VIP ticket for only $97. If you have any questions or run into any challenges during the summit, email our support team at breakthrough@clarityconfidenceconnection.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.